What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another OUA preview. Wade Zanketta, Connor O'Neill here on behalf of All Canadian and Canadian Football Perspective. We got a great week of games lined up. 4 games, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday, and we're starting off in Eastern Ontario.
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving weekend, so we get early OUA football. The first of the 2 games on Friday is the Toronto Varsity Blues heading to take on the Carleton Ravens, who have just come off losses to Queens and to Ottawa in the Panda game, respectively. Connor, what does Carleton have to do to get back in the win column this game?
For me, they need to get their pass game going. I mean, we saw what their defense did. We know what their special teams unit does. And obviously, Nathan Carter has looked great this season. But their identity when Tanner DeYoung was at quarterback was throwing the ball downfield. But now, whether it's Lefebvre, Van Koffnet under center for the Ravens, they need to let those quarterbacks throw. Only 49 passing yards in the Panda game. I know it was wet, but throwing the ball is who the Carleton Ravens are.
And for the Varsity Blues, we said it last week, you need to stop Rashid Tucker. Same thing applies for this Carleton team as they come running with the leading rusher in Carleton Ravens history, Nathan Carter. The Blues will have to play tight run defense. And then on the offensive side of the ball, they need to find a way to get their time of possession up. We haven't seen them really been able to take over games and control the clock and keep opposing offenses off the field. They need to do so Friday night in Ottawa.
You mentioned Rashid Tucker, so we might as well talk about him. Guelph taking on Queens, the Gryphons traveling to Kingston for this one. And the game plan for the Gales in this one is Rashid Tucker up near 200 yards and 2 touchdowns last week on the ground.
And Rashid Tucker is now over 130 yards per game through 3 weeks in the OUA. Another Gale to keep your eye on, though, is Richard Burton. He has scored a touchdown in every single one of Queens' appearances as they have pushed their way up the U Sports top 10. For Guelph, find a way to shut down one of them. Rashid Tucker is the guy they run their entire offense through. But beware, if you try too hard to stop the run, there's guys like Richard Burton and James Keenan ready to take advantage of the outside.
We saw them do it against Western. Will they be able to do it against the Gales? I guess we will see on Friday night, but let's go to Saturday. We are going to start it off with the McMaster Marauders taking on the Windsor Lancers. Both teams coming off wins. Mac upsetting Waterloo, Windsor upsetting Guelph. So let's start with Mac here.
And for Mac, it's going to be a similar recipe that we saw last week. Get Andreas Duet going. You have a pup brother on offense. You have a pup brother on defense. We know the defensive side of the ball is going to be fine. For McMaster, get Dueck in a rhythm early, easy completions, work the ball downfield, and use his experience and his arm to carry you to a win and get into your Thanksgiving weekend.
Certainly the formula for Mac. On the other sideline, the Lancers need to use their defense to keep McMaster off the field, much like we saw them do against Guelph, and feed David Adenor in the rock. We saw what happened when they did so. He had a touchdown called back, but he did have a good day on the ground. So use that defense, use that ground game to keep the MAC playmakers off the field. Final game in this one, my GG's riding high off a Panda win, going to be taking on the York Lions.
And this one is another home game for the GGs. And much like we saw in their last outing, they have a similar formula to success. It is going to be JP Simonkinda. It's going to be the offensive line with Jelly and Pelios. And they're going to have to cruise in the run game in order to have a chance. We don't know if Ben Miracle is healthy or if we're going to see Matt Mahler. So the easiest recipe for success is to ride Simonkinda and Dawson O'Day to a victory for the GGs.
They did it in the Panda. It opened the pass game as well. 3 receivers over 50 yards for Ottawa last week. They're going to need to replicate that again against York. And York going to need to find a little bit of consistency. And for me on defense, don't worry so much about what Ottawa is doing in terms of yardage. Worry about not letting Ottawa into the end zone. So I'm fine with big chunk plays. If you're only holding Ottawa to 3 points instead of majors, I'm okay with that. And then I know that, Canadian football is a passing game, but York needs to find more than 60 yards on the ground through their first 2 games. I want to see them develop a bit of a run game, much like Ottawa, so that they can open that passing game.
And that's all we have for the OUA this week. Western, Waterloo, Laurier, all on bye this week. The rest of the action, you guys can catch it at OUA.tv, or you can get tickets to your local games. Go ahead and do so now. OUA TV, free to sign up. You get every game live and on demand. So make sure you guys check that out.
And you can always follow along with us. We have a ton of OUA content coming out at CF Perspective on Twitter and Instagram. We had a ton of stuff from the Panda game last week. Wade took some great shots at Wade Zank on social media, at Connor R. O'Neill. And we will catch you guys later this weekend with the OUA recap.